U.S. citizens will vote on November 5th to elect the country's 47th president. The choice will be between Republican candidate and former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic candidate. The winner will be chosen through the Electoral College system. But what exactly is the Electoral College, and how does it work? Did you know that in 5 U.S. presidential elections, the winner of the popular vote didn't win the presidency? Sounds crazy, right? But it's a reality in America's voting system, thanks to something called the Electoral College. Today, we're looking into one of the most controversial and fascinating aspects of U.S. elections. It's a system that makes American elections unique in the world, and no other country uses anything quite like it. Get ready for an exciting journey with the fact waves as we explore why, in America, sometimes the loser still wins. First things first, what is the Electoral College? It's a system that determines who becomes president, but here's the kicker. It doesn't use the popular vote. Instead, each state has a certain number of electors, who ultimately choose the president based on how their state votes. There are 538 electors in total, and to win, a candidate needs 270 votes. So how does this work on Election Day? Well, voters are technically voting for electors, people who are pledged to support their candidate. This system isn't a direct democracy, where your vote automatically counts toward the presidency. It's a representative democracy, a system designed to balance the interests of different states and prevent any one group from dominating. The U.S. Electoral College has 538 electoral votes, and this is the total number of electors who decide the outcome of the presidential election. Each state gets a certain number of electoral votes based on its population and representation in Congress. Every state has 2 senators, and the number of representatives is based on population. So, for example, California, the most populous state, has 54 electoral votes. Wyoming, one of the least populous states, has just 3 electoral votes. So, how do we get to 538? The math is simple. 100 senators, 2 per state, 435 representatives, based on state population, and 3 electors for Washington, D.C., thanks to the 23rd Amendment. That adds up to 538 electoral votes in total. Now, here's the key part. To win the presidency, a candidate needs 270 electoral votes, which is a majority of the 538. So, it's not just about winning the popular vote across the whole country, it's about winning enough states to hit that magic number. Not all states are equal. Larger states like California have more electoral votes, and smaller states like Wyoming have fewer. But the states that are up for grabs, or swing states, are where the candidates focus the most effort. That's because these states can go either way, and winning them is the key to reaching 270. In most states, it's a winner-takes-all scenario. The candidate who wins the popular vote in that state gets all of that state's electoral votes. For example, California has 55 electoral votes. Win the state, and you take all 55. But here's the rub. What happens if a candidate wins the popular vote in a state by just 1%? They still get all of that state's votes, which doesn't always feel fair, especially when you're in a close race. And here's where things get really interesting and controversial. The Electoral College can let a candidate lose the popular vote, but still win the presidency. This has actually happened 5 times in U.S. history. Let's break it down with some real examples. The most famous of these was the 2000 election between Al Gore and George W. Bush. Gore won the popular vote by over 500,000 votes, but Bush won the Electoral College after a nail-biting recount in Florida, secured by a Supreme Court decision. Bush took home 271 electoral votes, while Gore had 266. Fast forward to 2016, and you'll see another jaw-dropping example. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by nearly 3 million votes. But Donald Trump snagged the presidency after winning key swing states, giving him 304 electoral votes to Clinton's 227. So why was this system even created? Well, back in 1787, during the Constitutional Convention, there was a big debate about how to elect the president. The framers were trying to balance the power between large and small states, and avoid letting the bigger, more populated states call all the shots. They feared that without something like the Electoral College, the most populous states, like New York or Virginia, would dominate the election. Smaller states like Delaware and South Carolina felt they would be left out in the cold. So the framers created this system to give smaller states more influence and make sure they wouldn't be overshadowed by the big guys. It was a way of balancing regional interests, especially between the northern and southern states. So why not just switch to a simple popular vote? Let's break down the pros and cons of the Electoral College. Pros: preserves federalism. The system ensures that smaller states have a say in presidential elections, balancing the power between large and small states. Encourages coalition building. Candidates need to win a broad range of states, not just the largest cities, to secure the presidency. Reduces fraud risks. Localized state elections reduce the risk of widespread voter fraud. Cons: and disproportionate representation. Smaller states have more electoral power than their population size would suggest. Popular vote can be overridden. A candidate can win the popular vote but lose the election, something that has happened 5 times in history. Swing state bias campaigns tend to focus on swing states, ignoring voters in solidly red or blue states. So, can the Electoral College be changed? There's been talk about switching to a direct popular vote, but it would take a constitutional amendment, a long and tough road. Another idea is to proportionally allocate electoral votes, so that states would award votes based on the percentage of the popular vote. Some states have even joined the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, pledging to give their electoral votes to the National Popular Vote winner, though it hasn't fully kicked in yet. Regardless of how you feel about the Electoral College, it's clear that this system has shaped U.S. elections for over 2 centuries. And with growing debates about fairness and representation, who knows what the future holds? But one thing's for sure, the conversation around the Electoral College is far from over. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let's talk about the Electoral College. Should we keep it, or is it time for a change? See you next time on the Fact Wave.